episode 2 of my podcast. You were just listening to Honor Through Vengeance by Disseminator off their new album Heavyweights. We got a lot to talk about today. This show is definitely on the other end of rock music when you compare it to last week's show. If you listened to last week's show, you'd remember I talked about going to Riverside Ballroom and how I saw the Winter Dance Party, which was a Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, and Big Bopper cover band. Today, I'm gonna tell you how I spent my last Saturday night in downtown Green Bay. I almost felt like in some way I was meeting new people while making personal connections, yet having a good time drinking beer and listening to good music. Anyways, here it goes.
This is the caller, this is the one drug, this is forever.
So Saturday night I decided to check out a metal show at the Crunchy Frog, located at 31 South Broadway Street. That night they had a metal show of some local bands. I have heard a lot about the Crunchy Frog for having a reputation for playing the more extreme and alternative kind of music, so I was very curious and intrigued to check it out. The show was supposed to start at 9. My wife Portia and I got there at 9:30. To our surprise, the bar was empty and no one was playing music. I asked the guy at the door what was going on, and he said, "Sorry man, the first two bands had to cancel for personal reasons, but Disseminator will be playing at 10:30. So me and my wife Portia decided to get out of there for a little bit and went down to Titletown Brewery for some really good beer and some great food. And it was awesome. I'll have to talk about that for another show though. So after that, we pulled into the parking lot of the Crunchy Frog around 10:30. As soon as I opened the door, I could hear the sound of double bass drums blasting off, and I could hear the low vibration of drop-tuned guitars. Whenever I hear that, part of me always gets excited. I always get that feeling right before I go to a show. We walked in, the place had filled up a bit. We got our tickets, and we only had to pay $5 each. Disseminator were doing their sound checks. Disseminator is a 4-piece band. They're very influenced from metal and hardcore, and they're from Appleton, Wisconsin. Some of their main influences are Hatebreed, Pantera, and Meshuggah. Tim Payne is on lead vocals, Bradley is on guitar, CJ is on bass, and John is on drums. Before the band started to play, I decided to get a $2 PBR and talk to some random people. Just trying to get a vibe of the whole place there. I talked to this older guy for quite a bit. I guess he's been following this scene in this area for a couple decades now. We talked about our favorite genre of music, and we both agreed we love thrash, but we also dig this kind of music too. Right away I was blown away by the sound of the guitar. Couldn't quite understand what the hell it was. It had some kind of weird deep Meshuggah sound, a real heavy deep tone. I got closer up to the stage and I saw Brad was playing an 8-string guitar. I've never played an 8-string guitar, only 7 strings and 6 strings. So I thought it was pretty awesome. Really started to get into the vocals too. Tim, the lead vocalist, has a very hardcore and punk kind of sound to his vocals, similar to Jamie Josta of Hatebreed. The two sounds of that low kind of deathcore and the hardcore vocals blended very nicely to me. After the show, I talked to Tim and CJ for a bit. They're really cool guys. I just kind of picked their brains for a little bit, and we talked about our favorite kind of music we would listen to growing up and what the metal scene is like in the Green Bay area. I asked CJ if there's a usually good turnout of people for these kind of shows. And he says that tonight was kind of a low turnout, and the reason was because they were competing with several other different bands. He says if all the bands could get together and communicate, they would maybe draw a bigger crowd and have more people come up to this show. I told him I was doing a podcast and I'm from NWTC, and I asked if it would be cool if I used their music for my podcast. Tim then handed me a free CD and he seemed real excited about it. I definitely had a great time at the Crunchy Frog listening to Disseminator that night. One thing I realized is, at least there's a special bond between the crowd and the musicians up on the stage. It's almost like they have their own club going on, or like they're kind of brothers or family. I wish every metal show was like that. Well, that wraps it up for today's show. Hope you guys had a good time. I'm going to have Disseminator's Facebook page under my description so you can check them out, and also the Crunchy Frogs Facebook page so you can check out what shows are going to be going on. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next week, I'm going to go see Kesha at UWGB. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Talk to you guys later.
Move!